So Xbox decided they want to be anti-consumer this time around instead of Nintendo. So Microsoft just announced that they are raising the price of all Xbox Series consoles, and Xbox games are going to be $80 this holiday. So, starting today in the US, the Xbox Series S is now $380. Mind you, this console came out 5 years ago, well, almost 5 years ago at $300. The Series S 1 TB, $430, up from $350. The Series X Digital, $550, up from $450. A $100 increase. That for a console, yes, I know the Series X Digital is newer than the original Series X, but it's still going up by $100. The Series X 2 TB Galaxy Special Edition is $730 now. Mind you, this came out for $600. It's up by $130. Mind you, the PS5 Pro, which also has a 2 TB SSD, is $700. And at least with the PS5 Pro, it's a pretty noticeable increase in power compared to the base PS5 and Series X. The Series X 2 TB Galaxy Special Edition is just a Series X with an extra terabyte of storage. And that's more than a PS5 Pro. And now, the fact that even the base Series X is $600. Mind you, the Series X came out 5 years ago. And instead of, like most console generations where after a certain amount of years the consoles go down in price. For example, the PS4 came out at $400, then I believe like around 2016 it went down to like $300. And that's generally been the case. A lot of times when the generation goes on, consoles go down in price. Not this generation. They decided, you know what? Let's bump the prices up. And it's crazy that Microsoft decided, hey, let's do this, when, let's be honest, the Series consoles are not selling that well. Right now, I believe they sold 30 million in total compared to what? Almost over 70 million of PlayStation 5 sold. And now they've decided, you know what? Even though we're getting destroyed by our competition in terms of sales, let's just increase the prices of our console. And I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Sony decided, hey, why don't we jack the prices up in the US? But as of right now, the PlayStation 5 is still the same price, in the US at least, as it was yesterday. They didn't increase the price yet. So right now, you can get the Astrobot bundle with a PlayStation 5 disc drive for $450. And that's the PlayStation 5 with a disc drive included and the game Astrobot for $450. $150 less than the base Series X, and you get a game with it. It is just, what is Microsoft doing? And Microsoft later gave a statement to IGN about why they're increasing the prices of their games and consoles and all this. They said, "We understand that these changes are challenging, and they were made with careful consideration given market conditions and the rising cost of development. Looking ahead, we continue to focus on offering more ways to play more games across any screen and ensuring value for Xbox players." And, some people are going to automatically claim, oh, it's the tariffs and all that stuff. But if it was the tariffs, then this should only really apply to the US. But it's not. This is being applied across multiple regions, multiple countries, and Microsoft themselves are saying, oh, it's because of rising development and game development. And, like I said before, why should the consumer have to pay for Microsoft's not being able to control their budget? Why does a consumer have to be charged an extra $100 for a console that's 5 years old, instead of them, maybe making games that aren't $800 million to make? You know, why don't they just make more smaller budget games? One of my favorite games of this year is Expedition 33. Absolutely fantastic game. Amazing game. Might be the game of the year that might be game of the year, even though we're only in what? April? That game was fantastic. And mind you, Expedition 33 is $50. $20 less than most brand new game prices, and $30 less than the new standard, apparently, the $80 standard. And it's better than a lot of these games that came out for those prices. And it's like, we can get an amazing game like Expedition 33 for $50. But you guys decided, and by the way, Expedition 33 is made by a brand new studio of only 33 developers. So let's be honest, this game didn't cost as much to make as, let's say, a Halo Infinite or a Spider-Man 2. But Expedition 33 is better than those games. And it's like, you know, you can not spend that much money to make a game. Make some smaller budget games, and, you know, the smaller the budget is, and make really good games like Expedition 33, and then you can sell like 1 million copies and still be profitable. Instead of, we spent $800 million on a game, we need to charge $80 for it, and that's still not enough. We need to charge an extra $100 to the consoles and all accessories. We need to increase the prices. And it's just like, what are you doing, Microsoft? Especially Microsoft. The Xbox console is not doing well at all. It's constantly getting destroyed by its competition in terms of just sales numbers, while the PlayStation 5 is dominating them. And let's be honest, when the Switch 2 hit the market, it's probably going to hit the Xbox even harder, because now people are going to be buying PlayStation 5s and Nintendo Switch 2s. And they're going to be like, hey, why would I buy an Xbox when all of Xbox's games come out for the PlayStation? You know, we just had the Oblivion remaster. Great remaster, by the way. It's on PlayStation. We're having The Outer Worlds 2 later this year, coming to PlayStation. We're having Ninja Gaiden 4 coming out this year, coming to PlayStation. So, if you get a PlayStation 5, you get PlayStation exclusives like Ghost of Yotei, which, by the way, isn't $80. It's only $70, which is crazy to say that it's only $70, because that was the standard made 5 years ago, and we thought, okay, for the next 10 to 15 years, it's only going to be $70. But instead of, like, we're getting $80 games now, when the $60 standard was in place for, 15 years? And now $70 is now considered the more budget-friendly prices for some of these or for some of these publishers. And it's just like, man, like, Xbox used to be seen as the value brand of choice, you know? You can get a Series S for $300, get Game Pass, and generally would be good. And especially now with all these game consoles and prices going up, like the Switch 2 being $450, which I think is a fair price in general, because the amount of features you're getting with the Switch 2, I think for $450 is pretty good, but I don't like the $80 games. But this could have been a chance for Microsoft to really make a comeback by keeping prices to relatively low compared to their competitors, and having Game Pass, where instead of spending, let's say, $80 on a brand new game, you can just subscribe to Game Pass and play that game. But now Microsoft is like, you know what? We're charging the prices up across the board. And I wouldn't be surprised if we hear that Game Pass is going up. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that. And it's just crazy that Microsoft had the perfect opportunity to gain some momentum by being the value brand, by being the brand that, you know, isn't overcharging their consumers by a lot compared to their competition. But instead they decided, you know what? Let's charge an extra $100 to our 5-year-old console. And It's just crazy. It's like, what is going on? Microsoft, why? Like, why are you doing this, Microsoft? Just they could have done something good with this by not overcharging their consumers, but decided to say, hey, you know what? Let's overcharge our games. Let's sell our games for $80 and let's increase the price of the consoles by $100, $80 to $100. But that's all I had for today. I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.